We'll start off with the home team, who actually kind of is the home team, as it's in one of the Carolinas, which Clemson's, yes, in South Carolina, and this game's in North Carolina, but it's still closer than Texas is to either of the Carolinas. With that said, Clemson has the advantage at quarterback, as Cade Klubnik is, I would say, moderately greater than Kevin Jennings. Jennings isn't a bad quarterback by any stretch. I would say he's quite good, but Klubnik is right in that elite tier of quarterback. So that's a bit of a difference. I would say Klubnik is in the mid to high tier of the elite quarterbacks, and Jennings is in the low to mid tier. So that's where the difference is. Another advantage for Clemson is that they have a very good wide receiver in Antonio Williams, who is superior to the mediocre nickelback Cale Sanders Jr. Jr. is not bad, but as evident by me calling him mediocre, he's kind of just there. And that's not good enough for Williams, who is an exceptional wide receiver. Exceptional might be actually a little bit too much, but he's very good. The next thing I like for Clemson starts their string of advantages for defense, as they have a very good defense. They have a stud cornerback in Ashton Hampton who will hinder his matchup greatly, whoever it is. So he might be taking out an entire receiver from the game or one side of the field, which is both very productive. The next thing I like is that, again, with the cornerback, they have a star cornerback in Avion Terrell who can cancel out his matchup as well, which you have two outside corners that can do that. That's pretty terrifying. That means you're going to have to go basically exclusively through the slot and through the tight end position as well. That's just not quite as good as being able to do it from the outside also. Also, we have an elite edge defender in TJ Parker, who is much better than Savion Bird. Bird is rather poor. He's not a high-end tackle by any stretch. I almost called him a guard. He's more than a guard. He's a tackle. I'm just kidding. Uh, Parker, though, should definitely have his way with Bird, and that's going to be pretty alarming because you have the outside corners on lock, you have the edge rush coming in, and then here we have an interior defender in Peter Woods, who's great. He can win versus a bad interior offensive line. The offensive line for SMU is really disappointing. I don't know if they were supposed to be good, but they are not good whatsoever. They have lots of deficiencies on the interior, and they're not good at tackle with Bird, so that's really alarming. They are such a good team, but they do not have a good line. Lastly, for Clemson, they have a good defensive tackle in Peyton Page, who can also have success versus the middling interior offensive line of SMU. Middling to poor. I think it's pretty well established they're not good. So at best they're mid, but I would say more than likely they're pretty poor. So that gives us 7 advantages for Clemson. And we move now to SMU, who has an elite running back in Brashad Smith. He can thrive as a really elite running back versus a good but not great run defense in Clemson. That's a bit of a mismatch. You need to really be on the top of the run defense game to stand a chance against Smith. And Clemson isn't just not quite there, rather. They're good, they're not great. So the next thing for SMU is that Clemson has a very poor nickelback in Khalil Burns, who can be attacked relentlessly. They're going to have to attack him because their outside receivers are not going to be getting much separation, but they don't need to go outside. They can attack from the middle. And I think that Barnes is really going to determine this game in a key way, because if he can have any sort of success, SMU is not going to be able to go basically anywhere. If he gets attacked all day, SMU is going to be just fine. So it's really going to be a determining factor in this game. Shifting to the defense now for SMU, they have a stud defensive tackle in Jared Harrison Hunt. He will dominate a very weak interior offensive line for Clemson. Another interior offensive line that's just not cutting it. You hate to see it. These teams are kind of similar in how they're constructed, in fact, though, because neither have the interior offensive line. They both have fantastic defenses. They both have really good quarterbacks. There's some similarities to be seen for sure. Another advantage for SMU, though, is that they have a superstar edge rusher in Elijah Roberts. He is much better than Tristan Lay, who is good, but not a superstar. The last advantage for SMU is that they have an elite run defense versus a very bad run blocking in Clemson. So that will have them be one dimensional. And that's going to be very troubling because if you can just tee off and know that you're going to have to pressure Klubnik, you can get after him and really have success because the offensive line, again, is not particularly good for Clemson. But they're going to be just at a complete disadvantage, Clemson that is, with them not being able to really have success on the ground. Where do I lean in this game? With that said, SMU has 5 advantages, Clemson has 7. I'm going with Clemson. I think that they have one of the more sizable advantages in Klubnik over Jennings. Yes, Jennings is good still, but Klubnik is just a bit better. And I think that that's going to carry Clemson quite a bit. I also think that both defenses are going to present problems to the opposing offenses. So I think that this should be a very interesting game. But I would take Clemson. I would take them on the money line. I think they're good for it. Those are my thoughts, though. Be sure to let me know what yours are in the comments section. And also be sure to like and subscribe for more football content.